Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our July 29th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. Lesson 210, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Okay, I'm sitting here in my yard in front of this is a naked lady. I'm sitting in front of that little peach tree that had the blossom on it the other day. Let's see if it's going to make a peach. I'm not sure exactly. It doesn't look like it. I said a peach. I meant a pear. Okay. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Let's go back and look at lesson 190 where the review is coming from. Pain is a wrong perspective. When it is experienced in any form, it is a proof of self-deception. It is not a fact at all. There is no form it takes which will not disappear if seen aright. There is no form that pain will take, but will disappear if seen aright. So pain is a wrong perspective. Pain is a sign illusions reign in place of truth. It demonstrates God is denied, confused with fear, perceived as mad, and seen as traitor to Himself. If God is real, there is no pain. If God is real, there is no pain. If pain is real, there is no God. Wow. So in reality, if pain is real, there is no God, and if God is real, there is no pain. Well, let's make God real in our life so it pushes pain out. That seems like the most logical conclusion we should come to. That's what's going on in reality apart from our dreams. Remember, we're really powerful and we make a world that demonstrates that pain is real because we're trying to prove that God is not. And then we try to find God, which is good that we're trying to find God. But let's not hesitate. Let's not waste our lives. Let's go ahead and get this accomplished. Let's find the only thing that's worth finding. For vengeance is not a part of love, and fear denying love and using pain to prove that God is dead has shown that death is victor over life. The body is the Son of God, corruptible in death, as mortal as the Father He has slain. Peace to such foolishness. The time has come to laugh at such insane ideas. We want to start laughing at such insane ideas. It is your thoughts alone that cause you pain. Nothing external to your mind can hurt you in any way. There is no cause beyond yourself that can reach down and bring oppression. No one but yourself affects you. There is nothing in the world which has the power to make you ill or sad or weak or frail. But it is you who have the power to dominate all things. All things you see by merely recognizing what you are. As you perceive the harmlessness in them, they will accept your holy will as theirs, and what was seen as fearful now become a source of innocence and holiness. My holy brothers, think of this a while. The world you see does nothing. It has no effects at all. It merely represents your thoughts. And it will change entirely as you elect to change your mind and choose the joy of God as what you really want. Wow, he says, my holy brothers, think of this a while. The world you see does nothing. It has no effects at all. It merely represents your thoughts. And it will change entirely as you elect to change your mind and choose the joy of God as what you really want. Yourself is radiant in this holy joy, unchanged, unchanging, and unchangeable forever and forever. And would you deny a little corner of your mind its own inheritance and keep it as a hospital for pain, a sickly place where living things must come at last to die? The world may seem to cause you pain, and yet the world as causeless has no power to cause. As an effect, it cannot make effects. As an illusion, it is what you will. Your idle wishes represent its pains. Your strange desires bring its evil dreams. Your thoughts of death envelop it in fear, while in your kind forgiveness does it live. We want to accept atonement for ourselves. Practice forgiveness and free yourself from pain. Pain is the thought of evil taking form. Lay down your arms and come without defense into the quiet place, where heaven's peace holds all things still at last. Lay down all thoughts of danger and of fear. Let no attack enter with you. Lay down the cruel sword of judgment that you hold against your throat, and put aside the withering assaults with which you seek to hide your holiness. Here will you understand there is no pain. Here does the joy of God belong to you. I love this where he says, lay down the cruel sword of judgment that you hold against your throat. You got this sword, you're going to hold it right over your throat and cut, because every time you judge someone, you're judging yourself. Every time you see someone else as guilty, you're holding yourself in bondage and guilt. So let's free ourselves from all that nonsense by practicing forgiveness. This is the day when it is given you to realize the lesson which contains all of salvation's power. It is this: pain is illusion, joy reality. Pain is illusion, joy reality. Pain is but sleep, joy is awakening. Pain is deception, joy alone is truth. And so again we make the only choice that ever can be made. We choose between illusions and the truth. That's the only choice that we can make, is between illusion and the truth. You can make lots of different choices in illusion, but they're all illusions. And you've made your choice against the truth when you're playing with different choices in illusions. But you can choose the truth, and now you're in harmony with what is. We choose between illusion and the truth, or pain and joy, or hell and heaven. Let our gratitude unto our teacher fill our hearts as we are free to choose our joy instead of pain, our holiness in place of sin, the peace of God instead of conflict, and the light of heaven for the darkness of the world. Wow, I love that. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. And that I choose instead of what I made. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Okay, let's take a moment and go look at a couple pages in chapter 2 under the correction for lack of love. And we're going to start with lesson 82, or paragraph 82. And let's see. Before I read that, let me just take a minute to tell you about these naked lady flowers. They're naked in the sense that, let's see if you can see it. They don't really have any, see that all the way down here? They don't have any foliage. They just have that stem shooting up. Now, they have foliage earlier in the year. But at this point, they just have that central leader with the flower atop. And let's see if they have any smell. A little bit. Not real super fragrant, at least these ones. Let's see if we can, let me tell you just a moment about the plant. I've got it written down here. It's an Amaryllis Belladonna. Wow, Amaryllis, that word amor isn't there? I think that means love and determination, basically. But Belladonna is an obvious one. Bella, beauty, Donna, woman. So a beautiful woman. It has a lot of different uses, but it is toxic. So don't use it without much study and guidance. And you know, externally it's used on wounds and hemorrhoids. I don't suppose that'd be toxic in that respect. But you know, get some advice. I'm just trying to encourage you to do a little studying on your own. The bulbs were used for fighting malaria, I understand. A lot of people used them for a lot of tribes. I know the Zulu in particular used them as a gynecological remedy for some different things, and for divinations, I think, magic. Anyway, it probably has all kinds of uses that we have no idea about. So anyway, but you know, my wife planted these. My first wife, who died in 1992, she planted them out here in front of our pump house, and they come back year after year. And anyway, they were blooming this morning, and I thought, well, there's where I'll sit and do my lesson today. And it's kind of a little favorite place of mine to sit out here in the irises and the belladonna. Okay, lesson or text reading, the correction for lack of love. The first corrective step is know first that this is an expression of fear. Then say to yourself that you must somehow have willed not to love, or the fear which arises from behavior-will conflict could not have arisen. Okay, so the fear, remember yesterday we learned about the behavior-will conflict, and that's what brings about the possibility of fear. So he's saying the first step is to know that you're fearful. You got to become aware that you've got a problem before you can alleviate the problem. So our first step is recognizing that we're fearful, that we're having an episode of fear. Then the whole process is nothing more than a series of pragmatic steps in the larger process of accepting the atonement as the remedy. These steps can be summarized as follows. Know first that this is fear. That's number one. Number two, fear arises from lack of love. Okay. Number three, the only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. Okay. And number four, perfect love is the atonement. Then practice your forgiveness and remove yourself from what you recognized you were feeling, which was fear, which was a result of not having your will in harmony with God. You didn't know for sure that it was what God wanted. Therefore, you were out venturing on your own. And all of a sudden, you realized that you'd thought something, believed something that wasn't true, and it made you fearful. Paragraph 87. We've emphasized, so these four steps, let's read those once again. 1, know first that this is fear. Number 2, fear arises from lack of love. Number 3, the only remedy for lack of love is perfect love. And number 4, perfect love is the atonement. We have emphasized that the miracle or the expression of atonement is always a sign of real respect from the worthy to the worthy. This worth is reestablished by the atonement. It is obvious then that when you are afraid, you have placed yourself in a position where you need atonement because you have done something loveless, having willed without love. Willed without love. This is precisely the situation for which the atonement was offered. The need for the remedy inspired its creation. As long as you recognize only the need for the remedy, you will remain fearful. However, as soon as you remedy it, you have also abolished the fear. This is how true healing occurs. Wow. This is how true healing occurs, by abolishing the fear. Everyone experiences fear, and no one enjoys it. Yet it would take very little right thinking to realize why fear occurs. Very few people appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all the time. However, if anyone hopes to spare himself from fear, there are some things he must realize and realize fully. The mind is very powerful. The mind is a very powerful creator, and it never loses its creative force. It never sleeps. Every instant it is creating, and always as you will. Oh wow, the mind is always creating and always as I will. Many of your ordinary expressions reflect this. For example, when you say, "Don't give it a thought," you imply that if you do not think about something, it will have no effect on you. And this is true enough. 89. On the other hand, many other expressions clearly illustrate the prevailing lack of awareness of thought power. For example, you say, "just an idle thought," and mean that the thought has no effect. You also speak of some actions as thoughtless, implying that if the person had thought, he would not behave as he did. While expressions like "think big" give some recognition to the power of thought, they still come nowhere near the truth. You do not expect to grow when you say it, because you do not really think that you will. 90. It is hard to recognize that thought and belief combine into a power surge that can literally move mountains. It appears at first glance that to believe such power about yourself is merely arrogant. But that is not the real reason why you do not believe it. People prefer to believe that their thoughts cannot exert real control because they're literally afraid of them. Many psychotherapists attempt to help people who are afraid, say, of their death wishes by depreciating the power of the wish. They even try to free the patient by persuading him that he can think whatever he wants without any real effect at all. 91. There's a real dilemma here, which only the truly right-minded can escape. There's a real dilemma here, which only the truly right-minded can escape. Okay, so there's a dilemma. Let's read that again. Let's make sure we got it before we can move on, because we're going to build on this idea. So paragraph 90, it's hard to recognize that thought and belief combine into a power surge that can literally move mountains. It appears at first that to believe such power about yourself is merely arrogant, but that is not the real reason why you do not believe it. People prefer to believe that their thoughts cannot exert real control because they are literally afraid of them. Many psychotherapists attempt to help people who are afraid, say of their death wishes by depreciating the power of the wish. They even try to free the patient by persuading him that he can think whatever he wants without any real effect at all. 91. There's a real dilemma here, which only the truly right-minded can escape. Death wishes do not kill in the physical sense, but they do kill spiritual awareness. Death wishes may not kill in the physical sense, but they do kill spiritual awareness. All destructive thinking is dangerous. Given a death wish, a man has no choice except to act upon the thought or behave contrary to it. He thus chooses only between homicide and fear, death or be afraid. The other possibility is that he depreciates the power of his thought. This is the usual psychoanalytical approach. It does allay guilt, but at the cost of rendering thinking impotent. If you believe that what you think is ineffectual, you may cease to be overly afraid of it, but you're hardly likely to respect it. Yeah, you're hardly likely to respect the power of your thought, which he wants us to learn to respect the power of our thought. 92. The world is full of examples of how man has depreciated himself because he is afraid of his own thoughts. In some forms of insanity, thoughts are glorified, But this is only because the underlying depreciation was too effective for tolerance. The truth is that there are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. The reason people are afraid of ESP and so often react against it is because they know that thoughts can hurt them. Their own thoughts have made them vulnerable. Okay, so we're afraid of ESP, extrasensory perception. All thinking produces form at some level. The reason people are afraid of extrasensory perception and so often react against it is because they know that thoughts can hurt them. Their own thoughts have made them vulnerable. 93. You who constantly complain about fear still persist in creating it. I told you before that you cannot ask me to release you from fear because I know it does not exist, but you do not. If I merely intervene between your thoughts and their results, I would be tampering with a basic law of cause and effect, the most fundamental law there is in this world. Wow, cause and effect is the most basic law that functions in the world. I would hardly help if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. This would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course. What would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course? I would hardly help if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. This would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course. It is much more helpful to remind you that you do not guard your thoughts carefully, except for a small part of the day, and somewhat inconsistently even at that. You may feel at this point that it would take a miracle to enable you to do this, which is perfectly true. So we want to get a hold of our thoughts, don't we? We want to make sure that they're consistent with God, with truth, with our higher self, with our reality, with love. 94. Men are not used to miraculous thinking, but they can be trained to think that way. All miracle workers need that kind of training. I cannot let them leave their minds unguarded, and they will not be able to help me. I cannot let them leave their minds unguarded, or they will not be able to help me. Miracle working entails a full realization of the power of thought and real avoidance of miscreation. Otherwise, a miracle will be necessary to set the mind itself straight, a circular process which would hardly foster the time collapse for which the miracle was intended, nor would it induce the healthy respect for true cause and effect which every miracle worker must have. Miracles cannot free the miracle worker from fear. Both miracles and fear come from thoughts. And if you were not free to choose one, you would also not be free to choose the other. By choosing the miracle, you have rejected fear. You have been afraid of God, of me, of yourself, and of practically everyone you know at one time or another. This is because you have misperceived or miscreated us and believe in what you have made. You would never have done this if you were not afraid of your own thoughts. The vulnerable are essentially miscreators because they misperceive creation. Okay, let's stop there. We're ready for paragraph 96 when we continue. All right, let's once again say our lesson for today. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.